Hey guys, Alex Bazookin here from Mr. Build It. So I was sick and tired of seeing all the dust separators that are in everybody's workshop that are on the side by side on a cart, on a dolly with a dust separator on top. It takes up so much space that we don't have in a workshop. So what I created here is an all-in-one unit that won't take up too much space, that is aesthetically appealing, and the best part, it works as its own dolly. So with that being said, let's not waste any time and let's get into the video. Let's go. Now, I've been a RIDGID Shop Vac fan for a very, very long time. In fact, here's a little bit of proof. See? Told you. Now, in fact, one of the vacs that I used in the photo shoot is this little guy right over here. It's a little 4-gallon portable vac, 5 peak horsepower. Honestly, it doesn't get better than this for portability and small and storage. So with changing times, the one thing I was irritated with this solution was because how small it is, I would put it into a shelf and take the hose out from there. But then when I need to dump it, I have to take it out. It's this whole hassle. I wanted a quicker way to dump the larger debris. So we went out with this one. And my good friends from Home Depot set me up with the new HD0900 model. This bumped me from a 4-gallon 5 horsepower up to a 9-gallon 4.25 peak horsepower vac. They've done so many improvements on this vac, guys. It's not even funny. Number one, we finally have a place to store our cord. Look at that. There's a place now to actually not have the sucker dangle everywhere. Number two, well, this has been before. You can use the back as a blower, so now you don't have to go buy a blower or I am just killing myself. Now you don't have to go buy a blower or a workshop blower. I have a small one right there. You can actually just dust things off as you're going here. The handle is actually ergonomic without it hitting your knees the entire time, so you're not cussing on the job site. And now you don't have to finick with it not seating right, because it actually has a nice little, I believe they call it a key, that hooks right. There's literally only one way to do it, and that's the way. Good improvement. And the last reason, apart from it being sent to me for free actually, the reason why I went with this setup here as opposed to taking my little small one is the way they kind of design it. It's more aesthetically appealing. It's got a nice symmetrical round shape to it, a nice solid wheelbase, and since we're gonna use a 5-gallon bucket on top, it's not gonna look awkward. It's gonna actually look like it's part of the setup. So without wasting any more time, let's see what kind of modifications we can make to this.
All right, so the first goes without saying, take off all the accessories that are mounted on the vac. There's quite a few of them. Do not throw them away. We might reuse them later for different kind of bells and features of the project. Now the next part, it kind of hurts my heart a little bit to do this because the ergonomic handle that actually doubles down as a way for you to actually store the cord for the first time in history, we're gonna have to remove it. So we're gonna need to remove the little seats that hold the handle in its place. You can use up a lot of different things. I decided to use a multi-oscillating tool just because it's quicker and I have one. If you don't own one, you can use a few things like a multi-tooth, high tooth count handsaw, or even like a really sharp blade on your utility knife. Honestly, a lot of things work. As long as it's sharp, it'll get the job done. In order to actually mount the bucket to the vac, we needed a strong foundational base. So I took some leftover 3/4 inch pine wood, or I think it was even whitewood, and I basically traced my bucket around it to make sure it covers the majority of the surface area. I later took it to my bandsaw to cut the circle out. If you don't own a bandsaw, just use what you got, maybe like a jigsaw or something.
All right, folks, let's talk dust separation. The majority of systems out there include a dust deputy or a cyclone, basically a funnel. When the vacuum is sucking, the sawdust is coming in from a side port, pushing through a cylinder, creating a vortex of dust, the heavier stuff, going towards the bottom of the bucket or the chamber. Whatever doesn't get pushed down is small enough to get sucked into your vacuum with a filter. Now, how do we recreate that vacuum? How do we recreate the vortex, more importantly, without taking away of the internal space or putting another obnoxious thing on top? This is the best way I've come up with. By the way, I don't think the dust deputy is obnoxious or the cyclone. I just think we're putting this on top of a vacuum and then something else on top of that. That's a tower. The best way I've come up with is if we cut a hole down the side of our bucket and feed the wand through, almost towards the very end, cut a taper off towards the end, and then tilt it slightly down, creating a vortex around the barrel that the dust would be going. And then on the very top would be the regular vacuum that would create the suctioning power and take away the small particles that don't make the cut. I think we got it.
All right, peeps, here's the name of the game. We need to create an oval. Now, in order to do that, you got to get a 2-inch hole saw with a drill. Take your bucket, put it down the middle, find the left edge, make a little mark, and take your drill and your hole saw and go at a very straight parallel angle into the bucket. You have now created an oval. All right, folks, so let's actually create the vortex. So take your wand, put a 45-degree miter on it, stick it in through the oval that we created, and secure it against the edge of the bucket via a small taper screw. So now every time the dust comes in, it's gonna ride the inner rim of the bucket and allow gravity to pull it down.
Hot dog, it worked. You see a little bit of 1/8-inch cracks, but that's not an issue. And then I took a small screw and then connected it to make sure the wand doesn't wobble, doesn't leave, and it looks like it's really tight in there. What I will do to make sure we don't have a leak from the inside or the outside, or maybe even both, I'm gonna take 100% silicone and go around it to create a nice good seal. But man, in the meantime, this worked out so good. So good. Now we're gonna switch over to the lid. By the way, these lids are slick, man. I got one of these. What are these called? This is called a universal tool adapter. Okay, from RIDGID Vac. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the same 2-inch hole, cut one from the top of the lid, feed it from the bottom, find out exactly which of these steps that I need to connect a nice good fit for the hose, and then that part should be done.
All right, check it out. So take the same 2-inch hole saw and create a hole on the very top of the lid. Then take your 7/16 drill bit and cut 4 holes through the hubs that you bought at the store. Then take any kind of gasket material, basically a gasket maker, silicone, or in my situation, I just used hot glue. Create that gasket between the port and the lid. Then use screws, locks, nuts, bolts, everything that you need to secure the entire surface together, and then torque everything down using your impact driver. Oh, and while you still have your silicone or hot glue out, go ahead and go over the entire wand on the inside and the outside to make sure that there's no leaks. Look, a good seal is going to be a good operating unit. Remember the old handlebar that we removed? Yeah, grab it, measure the distance and holes, and align them on the piece of wood. Use a Forstner bit to create inset holes to have established designated holes for the screws.
So at this point, we threw the wood originally that we cut inside, and then we marked out where the holes are gonna be. I mean, they're 5 and 13/16 of an inch. And then we're gonna mount it just like that, and I'm gonna screw it in. So I think we're getting there. I think we're really getting there.
All right, let's assemble this magic maker. Take the bucket, take the wood that we cut out, drop it in, use the 2 established screw holes, screw the holes in, the bucket's secured. A place for everything is everything in its place. So in order to actually make it work, the right combination has to be in place. The hose from the vacuum goes to the very top of the bucket, then the hose from the Vortex on the side goes to the tool you're actually gonna suction. Only gonna work one way, trust me, I've already tried.
Well, as you guys saw the results, the machine performed exceptionally well. I was super satisfied with it. All the large particles ended up in here. All the small dust particles ended up in the dust bag. The easy lid twist off is going to be really, really comfortable for us to dump the large chips into the trash, as well as the vortex, the natural vortex that was created by the tunnel that was placed in here. That just to show us that we do not need a dust extractor on top. This cost us almost nothing to put that in because it came with the vac. One of my favorite parts is the fact that it has wheels and dollies on there, so you don't have to create its own separate cart. Really excited how this build turned out. If you like these kind of videos, please hit me with a thumbs up, and please subscribe if you haven't yet already. A video comes out every single week, and I don't want you to miss a single one. Tune out this week. We'll see you guys next week. See ya. Bye.